This is Dominus Nisi. You are with Bismi, and I am so pleased to introduce one of our guests today in the studio about a wonderful topic. Welcome, Ria Joban, to the
Hello.
studio. Okay,
Thank you.
so before going to the topic and then why you are here and what are the things, I just want to know where you are from and what are you doing now.
Hi, my name's Ria. I'm currently studying my bachelor's with honors in psychology.
Mhm.
And yeah, I'm from the West Side, Werribee,
Yeah.
and I'm really
So
excited to be here.
okay, so do you want to share who else you like? My questions are coming. Where did you come from? What's your core part? Which country you're from?
Okay.
What's your mom and dad doing?
So
And
ethnically, I'm Indian.
yeah.
So that's my home country, and I migrated here around when I was in year two. So when
Mm-hmm.
I was like around 7 years old, and my mum and dad they both work.
Mm-hmm.
My dad works in marketing and sales, and my mum works in engineering.
Yeah,
So
and I
yeah,
got a little sister.
and I've got a little sister who is in school, and
Yeah.
she's 10 years old.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I do remember that you were growing as a little kid, and then after a long time I'm seeing you
Yeah.
like a young adult, and
Yeah.
then I met you somewhere, like, and I was question, like, like, oh, what are you doing,
Yeah.
what are you up to. That's where I realized that you're doing psychology.
Yeah.
That really touched me a lot because as a normal migrant people,
Yeah.
every parent try to get their kids into like 3 or 4
100%.
categories,
Yeah.
like medicine or engineering,
Yeah.
or it is like IT. Now
Yeah.
the trend is like more of like a law or
Yeah.
teaching. But this psychology, and especially with honors, that means 4 years, right?
Yeah. 4 years. Yeah.
And then that's clearly showing that you have a real interest in that
Yeah.
area. So can you tell us about your story, where you ended up, like how you ended up to pick up that psychology?
Yeah. So, um, well, when I was in school, well, my parents obviously they were like, "Oh, you should go into engineering. You should go into medicine." Like,
Mm.
obviously, the main choices that kids usually are made to make. And so I was kind of like, "Oh, I don't really gel with these things. I'm not really interested in. I don't feel a spark to it."
Mm.
And many of my peers, they were also choosing these types of subjects, especially in the school I went to was a very competitive school, and also along the side, some kids, on the other hand, were not so sure. So they'd choose things like trade, or they'd choose arts or science, more
Mm.
breadthy subjects. And I just felt like I was right in the middle. Like I didn't know what I wanted to do specifically, so I just had to like kind of look inside and see what I liked. That whole year, I was like talking to my careers counselor. I was like, what do I actually like? What do I actually want to feature in? What do I want to career in? And that was around the time of COVID as well. So things were really hard.
Mm-hmm.
I was going through a lot of stress from VCE, from
Mm-hmm.
obviously COVID, from not seeing people. And when you're a young adult, you need to have interaction with people. You need to have interaction with your friends. You need to be social. You need to go to school, which I didn't have any of that. So I felt the pressure from that as well. So obviously, when I was looking at what I wanted to do, I looked at my subjects that I was studying, and I picked up psychology in year 12.
Mm-hmm.
And I, like, right off the bat, I enjoyed it immediately. Like, I felt a spark with it immediately. And it showed in my marks as well. Like, as soon as, like, I was genuinely interested in doing every topic, every subject that we covered, whether it was like fear, stress, sleep, anything, I related to it on my own. So I would make links with myself to the topic, and it made me realize more about myself and analyze more human behavior around me, whether it's just my family or friends or people or teachers or whatever. I like picked up on that, and I really enjoyed it in that way, and made me realize like I like talking to people and interacting with people, and this is the type of work I want to do in the future.
Okay.
So
So you,
this is
you
what
found your passion, as Steve Jobs used to say. You need to find out the passion and work for that.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you don't be
yeah.
you while you're doing it. So
Yeah.
you clearly mentioned that you connected that with your own life, your own feelings and
100%.
fear
Yeah.
and those things. And being a uni student, VCE is really hard, isn't it?
It's
Too
really
many
hard.
things to be done.
Yeah.
The SACs are always sleepless
Yeah.
nights,
Yeah.
and your if your teacher is not that good, then that's
It's not.
all
It's over. Yeah.
gone.
Yeah.
So how did you pick up your course and your life in VCE? Yeah, obviously the COVID issue is there. Yeah.
Yeah. So, with my course specifically,
Mm-hmm.
why did I pick it up?
Yeah.
So it was between that and engineering. Obviously, those were my top two choices.
Yeah.
But of course, it was my interest ultimately that steered me to it.
Mm.
And I don't know, I was just really intrigued in learning more about mental health. And after COVID, especially, a lot of people are stuck at home. They're isolated. They're not talking to people. This can go for anyone: adults, elderly, children. And a lot of social connection was lost, and especially at that time where your body's going through a lot of hormonal changes, as I was facing, and I was under a lot of pressure. I just was, I was just wanted to. This was like one of the interesting things I guess I had was studying this subject because I just got to learn about myself, and I really enjoyed it, and that's definitely what drove me to picking it. And yeah, like I said, I didn't feel a spark with anything else. I felt like things like maths or humanities, it was really contained. When you're learning maths, you only apply it in class. When I learned psychology, I applied it to myself
and
so,
others around.
and others. So, and I like that because I feel like in a sense I might have ADHD. I only focus on things that I like doing. So it was really hard for me to just do something that I don't really have interest in.
Yeah.
So
I think everyone got it, but like we can't really find out the reason, like why I'm not enjoying it. That sometimes we have that peer pressure or the parents' pressure. Everything is there, but I think you got real good parents that you can choose what you want rather than they push you to choose.
Yeah.
Do you want to share with your thoughts on your parents and the other parenting happening in migrant family?
Yeah. So 100%. Because in psychology we learned this a lot. It's all about, it always starts in the household. How kids grow up determine how they turn out and how they act in social situations, how they are in day-to-day life. So if you have secure attachment, if you have, your parents are always respecting you, they're saying nice things to you, you're growing up in a loving, happy household where of course respect goes both way. You're saying nice things to your parents, they're saying nice things to you. You will obviously grow up and you'll reflect that. You'll portray that in your relationships that you make, whether it's a partner, whether it's friendships. You realize that you're going to act exactly like that. You're going to mirror that. But if you grow up in more, let's say, more, not a good household where there's like a lot of fights, there's a lot of trauma from when you're a kid. Like as soon as you're a baby, if the babies still pick up everything that's happening, that's how you grow. So it's all about developing, and you'll be stuck with a more anxious or avoidant attachment. You'll be avoidant to things. You'll be, and many people can be mixes of all these things combined, but it's hard to be just secure. But of course, it all depends on how you grow up in your household. And I would say for my family, of course, at the start, there was a lot of stigma surrounding studying psychology because it's not common, as Auntie said, like it's not common at all. Everyone's choosing medicine or law or teaching or etc.
Yeah, I think there is a bit of like a status quo mindset for all the migrants that if your child is not going to this university or not doing this course, that means they're a bit
stress
low.
for them. But that's not the case at all. If you do your research and look into psychology jobs, you'll realize if you specialize, you get paid quite highly. So it's like I even had that mindset. I was like, no, I can't do a job that's paying below this mark. Like I studied hard, I want to get a good job. And my parents definitely had that too. So they're obviously looking out for my best interest. They're like, IT's a safe job, go to it, do it, you'll be safe, you'll be set for life. And I was like, yeah, okay. And then I realized like that's not my passion. I'm not going to be contained to something I don't want to do. And in a country like Australia where you can study anything you want, you have people helping you, you have counselors, you have teachers, everything's available for you. It's such a free country. You should be able to choose what you want to do and you should be able to pursue it. So that's exactly the mindset I had when I chose that.
That's great. I think choosing your course and then coming now after this many years, how do you feel? Obviously it's right decision, but how that enable you to find out what you need to do for community?
I realized because when I'm talking to people in the community, my community specifically, they'll say, what are you studying? I'm like, psychology. and they're like, oh, okay, like, okay,
Yeah.
like, what is that? Where would you end up with that? So
Mm.
it just kind of makes me realize that a lot of people are oblivious. They're
Mm.
reluctant to learn about something. They're just stuck in a box where
Yeah.
they don't want to learn about other things. They just want to stick to what they know,
Yeah.
which is okay and works, but you can't like blame people for wanting to do what they want to do. And you shouldn't
Exactly.
look down on anyone. They're not hurting you. They're also people.
Yeah.
They play their part in society as well. Like, I think psychologists play a very good part in society. They help people. They talk to people.
Yeah.
They diagnose people.
Exactly, and
So
I would highly comment that after COVID, I think
yeah,
highest earning area will be in the
100.
clinical psychologist or
Yeah,
mental health
it's
area
very in
because
demand.
yeah,
Yeah,
and if you look at the current system in all corporate environment, all the school environment,
exactly.
even church environment, they need those type of
They do.
people to look
Yeah,
after the mental health because
100%.
yeah.
Yeah, like
So what do you feel about, I would say, like, my generation will be your parents'
parenthood
generation,
generation. Yeah,
and then thinking that going into a psychology area or looking at the different courses other than this, uh, I would say that high class education. What do you think about them? How, like
uh,
learning your psychology and looking
yeah.
at their mindset. What do you think?
I think there's two different like mindsets that I choose when like I'm thinking about them. One is the more like I guess the more nicer way of saying it is like, oh, they don't know because they didn't go through the same schooling I did. They didn't grow up with the same people I did.
Mm.
They had a whole different childhood where this was their standard. So
Mm.
if they're implying their standard on me, it's understandable because that's what they experienced when they were in
Yeah.
school. So that's like my understanding side. Another side is like kind of a side of insecurity. So
Mm.
you're projecting that you're, say, like, could be coming out of jealousy, like, oh, you're doing something you really want to do, you want to pursue that. I'm kind of jealous, but they won't admit that, obviously. But it's a place of insecurity, like, oh, she's doing that, she seems happy, she's thriving, she's going to get paid well,
Yeah.
but I'm still going to choose to be a bit oblivious and not know about what
Yeah.
you're doing and just stay that way and still want my kids to do this and not. Exactly.
I feel like that's a generational trauma for all
100%.
migrant parents
Yeah.
that they have to work on it,
Yeah.
and then they need psychologists.
They do.
They
They
should
actually
come to
do.
you or
They need
people like you.
therapy.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
need therapy. Yes, and if even prep or grade one onwards,
Yes.
kids know that they need therapy for
They
their
do. They have counselors available to
Yeah.
them at any point, which is what I really like about Australia.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's really good that we admit that we need some help.
Yeah.
It's not like, I was just mentioning before, as a parent from India, having all this generational trauma from our parents,
Yeah.
and then the expectation from our parents to bring our children in the same way that they did, and if we did something different to
Yeah.
their mindset, that means we are rebel, like we are not coping with their status, all
Yeah.
this. So being a parent, it's also a bit hard for their kids to go into the different path and then
Yeah.
supporting them. So I
Mm.
really I say that it's very encouraging to see your parents taking you to the path that you love to.
Yeah.
Very well done for your parents
Thank you.
raising the
Yeah.
way that you
They're
want.
very supportive.
Yeah, very supportive.
Yeah.
That, and I know that I can see the way that you mentioned your family environment is your first school, that where you get
100%.
all this thing. So my second phase of the question, okay, you picked up, you got a reason that is resonate with your life. What are you going to do after you study, and then what is the real core in that?
Core. So, in psychology, there's like many different pathways. As people usually think, oh, psychology, you become a counselor. But there's actually so many pathways. If you just do a regular 3-year course, you can go into social work, you can go into counseling, you can go into like helping kids in juvenile detention centers, aged care. There's like tons of pathways. If you do your honors, you're getting your APAC, your accreditation. So you have your license to practice. And then you specialize, just as doctors do. They get their degree. And sometimes they'll specialize in whatever, like anesthesiology, radiology, not radiology, whatever.
All different areas.
All the different areas, yeah. So just like that, psychology, you do your degree if you want to, obviously, with your honors. After that, you can specialize in clinical psychology, neuropsychology. You can. There's tons of developmental psychology, child psychology,
leadership psychology.
Yeah, there's so many different ones.
The one area that I need to pick up is family violence.
Yes.
Psychology can play a big role in that area, and we know that after Royal Commission, Australia and everywhere is that awareness is actually coming up a lot. And what do you feel about that area?
I'm really glad that it's more brought to light now, psychology, because even in like work, even in HR environments, they're having interventions with psychologists that just come to talk to them for a bit, like for 1 hour, and they always have help readily available. So I really like that, especially with family violence, that they have more options. There's always options online because everyone has a phone, everyone is really present online. So even just organizations like Lifeline or Headspace, there's so many people you can reach out to for free. So if you go to university, you're feeling stressed, you have free counselors. So there's always help.
So I just want to question, like, you learning it and then you practice like different areas, and then while you're going through that one, you also feel some odd feeling, and then you need bit of like a therapy. So will you get that?
So that's a common question, because if you like, you're always in tough environments, you're dealing with yes, you will also receive some, or the option is at least available to you for free,
and then you can choose.
You can also choose, which I think it's for every workplace it's like that. So
So another one I feel like, especially again with that migrant community, they may be in a family violence situation, and they may be even in a bullying or abusive relationship, and they may know that, but they think that, oh, my parents were like that, and our generation was like that. We were taught, like, we can't really say anything about it because it's a status, and at the moment if I say this, my family will break. So if those type of mindset is happening a lot in our community, how can we tackle that? Or what do you think as a young adult or a child of next generation? What do you think?
So obviously, I've seen that happen a lot. There's even little things like controlling, like manipulation. There's always like things like that in migrant families I've seen, and as they will say, oh yeah, this is how I was brought up. You just have to suffer in silence. But I think no one should suffer in silence, because that's a really backward thinking. So especially when we live in a world like this, we're only progressing. We're not going back. We're just regressing in that kind of mindset. So a lot of, I know, maybe like mothers, they have this stigma from the community. You can't reach out because then she's really mentally unwell and she's like a psychopath. That's why she's reaching out. Even in India it's like that, because that's why psychology is not really around. It's in more Western countries, because we've kind of accepted the fact that everyone needs psychological help.
Everyone got something.
Everyone has at least stress. Like, I think there's like a statistic, at least 1 in 5 people from ages 16 to 34, they experience stress. So and so I don't, because of this stigma, people will think, oh yeah, she's so weak, she has to reach out, like but I think again it's insecurity. Like, you don't have the heart to reach out. That's from other people. But if you're feeling like you have to reach out, there's nothing wrong with that. No one's gonna judge you. It can be private. You can do it. No one's gonna tell anyone.
I feel like, if you say that I'm not good openly to someone, that's showing really courage.
And that person to person communication is always the best. You can turn to like other activities to take away from your mind or whatever, but I think talking about it and dealing with the situation is the best way to deal with the situation.
So being a young adult, another question may be a bit sensitive, but still, like, you mentioned that the society, they think, but at the same time, suffering is a big powerful word in religion, and then we believe, being a Christian, I believe, yes, our God suffered for us to get the great love, our great freedom. I believe that, and there will be suffering in different ways that we may go through as part of our human life on earth. But how do we identify, okay, this suffering, or like, this is not what God wanted, or this one that is clearly a violence or that you should
Yeah.
get help. So,
Um. Well, obviously, yeah. There's like many different levels to feeling bad,
mm,
feeling stressful, feeling upset. It's all common like feelings. You feel that you can't just invalidate it, or no one can invalidate those feelings to you
mm,
and say you shouldn't feel that way. I've dealt with this, which is
mm,
even more stressful. So why do you feel stressed?
mm,
I feel like kids will deal with that 100%, especially during schooling. Their
mm.
parents will be like, "Why are you stressed? I did this, and you shouldn't be stressed. This
Yeah,
is
I did this,
nothing."
this, that, but
Yeah,
you got this, this, this. Still, you're stressed,
you
right?
you have a roof
Yeah,
over your
because
head.
that's my script to my kids.
Yeah, like you have a roof over your kids, you have water, you have food. You shouldn't be stressed. You should actually just be grateful and happy, which I'm sure they are grateful and happy,
Mm,
but it doesn't invalidate the fact that they are stressed.
mm,
So maybe just talking to them and
Yeah.
like just understanding, maybe they just need a person to talk to.
mm.
So just understanding where they're coming from, just
Yeah.
yeah, having a chat with them. Like even like little things like that can go a long way.
Mm.
No, I'm not saying like they're like clinically depressed and like need all these psychological interventions. No,
Mm.
just a simple chat is
Yeah.
like can go a long way.
That connection with
That
the
connection,
human, right?
yeah. Instead of just neglecting and saying you shouldn't feel stressed.
Mm.
Maybe just ask, why are you stressed? Are you okay? Like questions like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So usually people used to say that after COVID, the depression level is high or
Yeah.
the anxiety is high, the lack of connection is is high. So
Yeah.
is that true, or what do you think about from your studies?
Definitely it's high because we went online for most of the part. Everyone was on Zoom. Everyone was doing FaceTime calls or not calling anyone. Everyone's just stuff like inside their own houses. They weren't talking to anyone. And you can see how that shift has, even after COVID, has still kind of is now ongoing. I know a lot of things are back to normal, like businesses, everything's back to normal, but you can see how, for example, now back then you used to go out for food, you used to go with your friends, but now it's like you order delivery,
Yes.
and you won't even talk to the delivery person. Actually, you'll just get the food.
Yes.
It's like little like things like that. You don't see it, but these actually all are isolating experiences.
Yeah,
I'm not saying you should, but
the world is coming like in a robotic
it
world.
is. It's
right?
like, and that's what I'm saying. When it becomes more of a robotic world with AI, like not really talking to people, that's when psychology is prevalent, especially now, because of how isolated people are, how stressed people are. Because human interaction is always it's needed for everyone, no matter what.
Yeah.
You need humans to talk to. You need to surround yourself with people, or you'll feel depressed. It's like a common fact. So, especially with this, where everyone's working from home now, which has its pros, obviously, but it obviously comes with its cons, and it shouldn't be like a negative that you're getting help because you feel a bit isolated or stressed.
Yeah, I think we have lots of opportunities
Yeah.
as well. So we should be like, look at the different applications. Lots of free applications
Yeah.
are there to help you to breathe in and then
Exactly.
get a bit more
Yeah.
better mindset. So my next question is like, being a young person, gone through that stress level. What are the tips that we can share with our listeners to reduce your stress level or like that anxiety? Yeah.
Reduce stress level and anxiety. So I'm doing like a subject called positive psychology, and it talks about how people are just stuck in their life, and some things will make them sad, but some things will make them happy.
Yeah.
But you want to focus on the happiness and flourish from that. That's like the main core of the subject. So, say I'll talk about mothers, for example. They're always dedicating their life to their household, their family, their husband, their children. They don't take time for themselves, even for 1 minute, just to like have some free time to themselves or enjoy an activity. They'll just think, no, like, why do I need it? I'm old. Like, I need to look after my kids. I need to work. That's what I need to do. But everyone deserves free time. Everyone deserves time to themselves to make themselves happy. If you don't have that, you're just going to crumble, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And yeah, whether it's at work, I'm sure every work organization nowadays,
giving that option.
they have that option. So
I actually picking up from the I love to see that you're looking at the camera. Like many of our guests won't do that because they look at us and looking at the that clearly showing that you started some YouTube channel, right? Do you want to share with that?
I didn't. My mom started.
Yeah.
One.
Okay. I know that you are as a family
Yeah.
going for lots of travel. and that
Yeah,
may
we
be a
love
part of
traveling.
your family goal to
Yeah.
reduce your stress. And then we were telling them, like, show your photos and show your areas, because you go into real deep areas
Yeah.
and then find out the best pictures, and then those ones. Do you want to, like, can you share about your experience going as a family and
Yeah.
then preparing for that and then putting that into the YouTube? Yeah.
I think my parents, like, they're big. Everyone chooses to spend their money differently, but my
Mm-hmm.
parents, they love traveling.
Mm-hmm.
So they'll every day they'll be watching traveling vlogs like on
Mm-hmm.
the TV. As soon as I come home, that's what I see,
Uh-huh.
and like all these like travel vlogs. So we go traveling pretty much. We try to go like every year,
Yeah.
pretty much, and they're really into Europe. So we've been to like I think like over 19 countries.
Okay.
Not including Europe, but like
With the
overall
excluding Europe, 19 overall. Yeah.
19
Mm-hmm.
countries,
Yeah.
including
Mm-hmm.
European countries. And so, yeah, they love that. And Europe as well, they have a lot of churches and like
Yeah.
it's very like Christian heavy, like
Mm.
the architecture, the buildings, everything's amazing. Food.
Mm.
We also like the family that we will go to another country and we want to taste their food. We won't stick to our own food.
Mm.
We like experiencing like the country for the country.
Yeah.
So I think that kind of inspired them to like kind of start making their own videos
Yeah.
and just like give it a go. Why not? 'Cause,
Yeah.
like, yeah.
So how is the channel going? Like, you're getting good response?
Yeah, we're getting good. My mom mainly runs it. She like loves it,
Yeah.
and she's gonna be so happy that you asked me about this.
Yeah, no, because
So-
I was one of the viewer, because I
Yeah.
actually told her, because it's a wonderful place. Not everyone can reach to those type of places. It's
No, not at all.
expensive, your
Yeah.
time and your situation. So when you share that with other people, it's an inspiration.
100%.
Especially, like, I think that church related areas,
Yeah,
that will be really good for other people to
Yeah.
have a look and then experience how you experienced.
yeah, they just have a passion for it. So they
Yeah.
just
So
put their
my
time.
our next question,
Yeah.
touching to that one, is like, being in that family were that travel oriented, that helped you in positive way, and what will be the essence that you picked up from the travel?
Yeah, I think it really helped me.
Mm.
Even if you just, like little things. Like I know a lot of my friends or like a lot of people in the community, they just go back to India.
Mm.
That's where they spend most
That's
of their
all
money.
every day, every year. Go
That's-
back to India.
I'm like not judging, maybe I am, but I think you should be able to have fun as well. Like if you're spending all that money on that, you can also have a detour, go somewhere else. You can do something else. Like you can have some family time with just your immediate family
Mm-hmm.
in another country, experience their culture, experience everything.
Yeah.
And I've been so lucky to do that.
Yeah.
And yeah, like we just love it because it's just so fun. Like we get to see all these places. It's fascinating.
Yeah.
We walk a lot. We get cardio in, like 30K steps a day. And then there's only positives, I guess, other than like the family arguments here and there. But
that's
it's
great.
just it's like really fun. So I'm
Yeah.
like, I encourage more people to travel.
travel.
And, like, instead of just going back to India or like doing the same things over and over again, try something new
yeah.
for a change.
Okay,
So,
that's great. So,
yeah.
and the other thing I really appreciate in you, it's like, everyone is passionate about tattoos, but you are passionate about something else, because you sharing a very glittery smile to everyone.
Yeah.
So, do you want to share with that, what is that jewels in like in your smile?
Yeah, so I like worked at Crown recently. So I was a table games dealer. So it's all about entertainment. You entertain people,
Yeah.
and you're obviously doing like maths. You're doing payouts.
Yeah.
So like me and my friends were like, oh, we just want to look extra good at work. So
Okay.
we went and got these like gems on our teeth.
Yeah.
And honestly, they don't harm you. They don't do anything. It's just like it just looks nice. It shines in the light. And you get a lot of questions, the conversation starter as well.
Yes.
So a lot of people ask me on my table, oh, what's that on your teeth? They're really pretty. And then starts a conversation. You just talk to them.
Yeah, I should do something. I think there's a butterfly there, right?
There's a butterfly. It's
And,
like Swarovski crystal.
Yeah.
And then these ones, because I love butterflies. So
Yeah,
I like put a few
and
butterflies on.
it should be expensive with that stone.
Around $200.
Okay,
200 to depends how big your design is.
Yeah, and it's available everywhere.
There's like studios you can look up on Instagram to find it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think like doing these little cute things is like there's
Yeah,
nothing wrong with it.
Yeah, I like
It's
it
cute.
because and it's not painful, that like
No,
tattoos.
they just
So
stick it on. It's just
yeah,
gems.
yeah.
You just go to the dentist to remove
And then
them.
you can brush and all
You can
good.
brush, everything's
Yeah,
fine. The
that's good.
dentist
I
will
think I
remove.
should try one.
You should. Definitely. I want to see
And
it.
the other one I picked up, that 777. What is the
777.
story behind it?
I love I like angel numbers, so like
Uh-huh.
every time I see a number that's like 111 or
Yeah.
333, I
Yeah.
like my favorite number is 7 because I was born on the 7th.
Oh.
So every time
okay.
I see a number, I just make like a three
Wish.
numbers,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I make a wish. It's just fun.
Yeah, it's actually 7 in Bible is the number of completion. The seventh day
Yeah,
is
I
what
love the number
God
7.
created, finished the creation and rested. So it's 7 is always number
Such a nice
completion
number.
of number.
Yeah.
And if you look at the 7 by 7, all different things, 70 by 7, and all those big, great compassion and great commission, it's all related to the number.
Yeah.
Great is number 7. That's great. So I just want to, looking at the time, I just want to check with you. What will be your message to the youngsters to, listening to you like a very vibrant girl, really passionate about community, trying to take that generational trauma of violence and
Yeah.
all those, I would say, the myth and the lie that they believe that
Yeah.
they can't really come out, they can't be their advocate, they need to suffer everything, but you are trying to prove or educate the people that that's not that we need to be. So can you share your thoughts and a message to us?
I would encourage everyone uh, get the help they need, and no matter what the situation is, I think talking to someone always helps. If it's at a clinical level, we'll obviously seek that help. But even if it's just a little thing, like talk to your friends, talk to your family, talk to your peers. There's nothing wrong with expressing how you feel. And if people that say that there is something wrong with that, it's just backwards. We're not living in the 1900s or the 1800s. We're living in a progressing society. So you should keep up, and you should just ask for help. And I encourage people to study psychology because I think I valued a lot from it. It's a very esteemed job, and it's a rewarding job. So yeah, that would be my message. Yeah,
That's great, and thank you, and
Thank
all
you.
the prayers and blessings for you to do your work, because you got a great smile from your heart. That means
Thank you.
you have a passion for the
Yeah.
community,
Yeah.
and then we need people like you, because we have not just from India. Every migrant got that their generational trauma. That they need to understand. We are not saying that okay, we need to go without rules, but it's more of like get that trauma out and be authentically you. And I would always say that is connect with your core, and that connection is the beginning of the change.
Yes.
So let your studies be that connection to your core, and let that connection change you and to change people around you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much
Thank
for
you so
being
much.
with us and sharing your wonderful journey. And that's how you spreading your love, joy, and peace to other people. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. Yeah.
Thank you very much, my listeners. That is Ria Joban from Hoppers Crossing. So she's a psychology student, but at the same time spreading love, joy, and peace through in her family and in her community and her workplace and the people around her. So you're with Bismi on Dominus Nisi on 88.9 FM. Thank you.